Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin, and this is episode 401, so we can essentially phone it in.
That's right.
At this point, we're in the senior slide mode, and we don't really give a shit if this is good anymore. It was just, our goal was to get to 400. Anything after, it's kind of like Marvel Phase 5, 4, 5, and 6. Anything from this point onward is just gravy. If it's good, great. If it sucks, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So strap in for a very mediocre ride, guys.
Yeah. We're gonna double the farts. I believe that was the mandate that we decided after the fact. So no, we had a lot of fun on episode 400. It was excellent. It was so nice getting to see Jamie Jirac. It was so great getting to see Sam Cooke, having Jill stop by, having Noah stop by, have Slotty stopping by. If you missed it, go check it out. It was a fantastic episode. And check it out on YouTube, youtube.com/mindgappodcast, because Justin was dressed up. I was dressed up. It was a whole shebang. It was really, really cool. It was just a wonderful stroll down memory lane and celebrating our cool guests. And you know what? Celebrating ourselves, you know?
And we got to see Superman win another throwdown.
Thank God.
For the second time, Soup's undefeated.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I'm sure that made Jared happy. Jared, has been in the hospital after some surgery. So, he said he really enjoyed it. He said he's been really gassy. Right. Hope you're feeling better, buddy. We love you.
Hey, Jared, this fart's for you.
It's true. That's true.
There it is.
Yeah, yep. Man. You know it. It's been, it was really, really fun. I had a lot of fun putting that together, editing it, and it felt like a real nice milestone, a really great accomplishment. So thank you once again to everyone who's listened to us, who's contributed to us, whether that's just being part of the community, whether that's like monetarily doing it or just liking and subscribing, which you should totally do, or following us on our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. It felt like it did feel it felt like a different kind of pod. Like it felt like a special night. And I know that we had a lot going on, but there was a little bit more. It didn't feel like the normal podcast. I thought it was going to. I was like, oh, this will just feel like another podcast. And then as we were doing it, as I was watching it back, I'm like, this really does feel like a celebration episode. This is good.
What? I gotta say, logistically, I feel like we nailed it too. And I like the idea that you hid your guests from me and I hid my guests from you, because I was like, man, I don't know who's gonna come up next. Yeah. There's a sense of excitement, and they were like perfectly timed segments. That was like, we put Justin, full credit here, did a lot of effort of like, I'm gonna time this out, and man, a little effort goes a long way when it comes to production stuff. You know what I mean?
It does. Shocker. Who knew? When you actually plan something out, it can be good. Yeah.
Yeah. It was very, very fun.
A credit to you, though, as well, because you reined me back a little bit. You pulled me back, reined me in, because I was like, all right, I'm going to have, I think initially.
I think we were just going to do 5, I think.
Was it each?
I think so. It was each of us like 4 or 5. And I was like, we should have that.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So then like they'll be on for 5 minutes and then we'll have this amount of time in between this and this. And you're like, that's a lot. What if we just do like 2 apiece? I'm like, yeah, 2 apiece could work.
It felt good. Yeah. We got some good time with those guests, and each one had like a nice little bit. It was great. It was very, very fun. So absolutely, my personal favorite was Jill going all HR on you. That was really good. That was very entertaining.
I plead innocent to all of those charges. I do not know what she's talking about, and I will go to the mat saying that.
Listen, if you all don't know what he's talking about, check out that episode 400. If you're on YouTube, it's bookmarked. It's mystery guest number 2. Go check that out, and you let us know, is Justin guilty? Should he be, on his PIP, his performance improvement plan? Let us know in the comments. What do you think?
I'm just saying, I might quit. I might quit. If I can get a PIP, I might quit.
Yeah. Get a PIP, then I'm gonna quit. That's how it goes. That's the
Put me on a pip. I'm going to quit.
Put me on a pip.
No pip for me. No, sir.
No, sir.
Not this guy.
So funny development on my end of things.
Okay.
So in case you all don't know, I host a video game stream on Fridays, typically at 8 p.m. Central. And recently, Natalie has become extremely interested in my video game streams. And 2 weeks ago, I hosted Spider Hack, which is one of her favorite games. It's a wild and crazy game where you play as spiders who get lightsabers, rocket launchers, grenades, laser guns, and you basically just have a battle royale all the time. It's super fun. It's wild. She loves playing that game with me. So when I told her I was playing it for the stream, she was like, "Can I watch it?" I'm like, "I mean, I don't care. Like, you know, you're not in my presence. You're downstairs with your mom, so whatever." And apparently, you know, she tuned in for a good chunk of it. And I was like, oh, wow, that's okay. That's interesting. And then she went back and started watching the video on demand of it, like watching the whole thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So last week, we tried out a new game called Midnight Ghost Hunt, which is a very interesting game where you play as both ghost hunters and ghosts. It's kind of like Left 4 Dead 2. You have your finger up.
I was... And you played on Friday, right?
I did.
Can't remember what I was doing, why I was there, but yeah, and you guys went late. You guys went later than usual, I think, because it was like
2 hours
my time.
Well, yeah, you're an hour ahead.
Yeah, but I feel like regardless.
I go 8 to 10.
So yeah, but it was you were past then.
Probably a couple minutes.
Either way, doesn't matter. Point being, I was flipping around. I was on the couch before I went to bed, and I popped into the YouTube app on the old Apple TV, and I was like, "Ooh, watch the live stream on my big screen." And so I tuned in. I was wondering if it showed that I came in, if it's not on the on a browser, because you can see everyone that pops in to watch. But I was watching it, and that game looked really fucking fun. It looked really fucking fun. However, it looked like it was bonkers. It was chaos, pure madness, because you can jump into different like objects, and then you've got that one guy that you guys it was towards the end, but you were hunting. He jumped like 20 times in a row, and you were after him. I couldn't figure out where I lost him. I'm like, I don't know if you're doing this. It's
a really great take on prop hunt, which is a type of game which I think started, to my recollection, when I first saw it was a type of game in Team Fortress 2, where the idea is that you get to play as just generic objects in a level. And the idea is to hide, and then there's people that are hunters that come and try to find you within a certain amount of time. It's kind of like hide and seek. Yeah. And those games are fun, but there's an inherent flaw in that if you're the one hiding, it's kind of fun because it's tense, because you know people are coming by and you're like, oh my god, you can like taunt and do different stuff, make noise and stuff like that. But really, you're just sitting there and like not moving,
right?
Which isn't super fun. And then we played another free-to-play game version of this where halfway through the level, you just change into something else automatically. So you could be like, I'm a traffic cone on the road. It's like, now you're a futon. It's like, fuck, and you have to like, you're like, well, that guy isn't, that guy's hiding. That guy's a thing because he's a futon now in the middle of the road, like. So this is a nice variation of that, in that you play as a ghost and you can possess objects in a level. Like almost every object in the level. And the longer you stay in place, the more ectoplasm you build up, which makes you easier to detect.
That's what it was. All right. That's the element that I couldn't wrap my head around. All right.
So it basically encourages you to move around the level, because when you move, your ectoplasm goes down. So you can hop between various different objects, and there's pros and cons. Smaller objects, you move faster, but you don't have as much hit points in that object. Larger objects, you have more hit points, but you move slower. And there's like an attack element with it, where halfway through the game, so the hunters have the advantage in the first half of the game, and that they're going around, the ghosts aren't as powerful, and they essentially trying to find you. But once it hits quote unquote midnight in the game, the ghosts get super boosted, and then they try to hunt the hunters. And the hunters either try to survive or defeat the ghosts, but the ghosts are like, their stats get boosted big time, so they can be super aggressive. But there's also so many different like loadouts you can do. You can have different guns if you're a hunter. You have different perks. You have different things. Like someone could be like, I want to be able to use a radar to detect it. I can set up a spectrogram or a camera. All of them do different things. Someone's like, I'm going to have a vacuum. So when I get a ghost, I vacuum up their essence so they can't be resurrected. Right. And there's all sorts of shit, man. It's like, and then ghosts are the same thing. They can have powers. Like I was going with poltergeist where I would just make shit float in the room. And if people got close, it would attack them automatically.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
Then Seth and I teamed up where he would put corruption in things. So the idea is that if you corrupt an object and it's destroyed, it explodes, doing damage. Ooh. So I would have stuff floating and then he would corrupt them. So as it hit, it would do like exploding damage. And we insta-killed a guy on a level.
Did you really?
He walked into a room and it was just like, he just like died. But he was surrounded by his friends, so they just resurrected him. And it was just like, damn it. Like,
so the hunters can resurrect each other.
If you go and get a defibrillator from your loadout, you can then get them back up and everything like that. So we were learning the strategy. It's great for teamwork and things like that.
Sure.
So really fun game. Natalie was into it, wanted to watch. She apparently watched the whole stream.
Jesus.
And I told the guys, I go, hey, just so you know, Natalie watched like that whole thing. And they're like, yeah, I go, I know. But for the most part, we were swearing. No big deal. It is what it is. And I told her, I go, listen, you're going to hear us swearing on there. We're going to be saying silly stuff. You know the rules. Like, don't repeat that stuff. And it is what it is. And then, you know, I realized, you know, throughout most of that, I'm also playing, you know, I'm going to come, you know, and I have to, you know. And Jill's like, hey, just so you know, if there's any explaining that needs to be done, you're the one that gets to do it. I'm like, that's fair. That's totally fair. So now, not only that, but then she also has gone back into my catalog at other streams.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So she started watching Pummel Party where I was like, oh, God. Because I posted that in the Discord. I was like, hey, now he's been watching. Jared goes, oh, man, I wish I could have added some of my language. I was like, well, she's watching Pummel Party, and you were in on that one. So, yeah. She knows what's going on with that. At one point, we're singing a song like there's no cock, like horse cock. And like, I'm like, at one point, Natalie turns to Jill and goes, Mom, what's bastard mean? He's just
absolutely stunning.
So we made a rule. We're like, listen, you can't watch these streams unless mom or dad are around, okay? Because we need to monitor that. We know when to turn down. For the most part, Natalie is just like super into the games. Like she just likes watching what's happening and
turns out what's going on. Yeah.
And a part of me is really happy because she's like, oh, cool. This is something my dad does. I want to see what he's doing. I want to watch what he's doing. During one thing, I was like, there's some downtime trying to get into another game, and I was just playing a whole bunch of farts, and apparently Natalie thought that was the funniest goddamn thing in the world. And I was cooking food over the weekend. She goes, Dad, do you want to watch that part where you did all those farts? I'm like, yeah, bring it up. And she like had the part down exactly. She just started losing her mind. I was like,
fucking kids.
It made me really happy just to, you know, I'm like, listen, I got a fan in the house who's watching my stuff and, you know, enjoying it. But the other part of me is like, oh boy, don't go too deep in the catalog because man, we got don't do any Jackbox games, which I can't imagine she'd want to watch because they're not that enjoyable. You know,
look, don't put it past her because kids will surprise you, right?
She likes she likes the games that have a lot going on. You know, like there's a lot of action and stuff, but you know, she'll understand that. She brought up like King of the Castle. I'm like, you don't want to watch that one. That's boring. That's dad just reading a bunch of stuff in funny voices and trying not to get overthrown and murdered by, you know, the nobles. Yeah. I was like, that's not fun for you to watch at all. Here's Broforce. Go watch that.
What was it the Jack? No, it wasn't the Jackpot games. What the fuck was the one called with the you got to finish the movie line.
Oh, that's there's two of those I have. It's What the Dub and Riff Tracks.
What the Dub. I haven't played Riff Traps. I've been on What the Dub a few times, but that one I know for sure. Is again, don't think she'd enjoy that one too much. Just saying,
but she starts going deep. I was trying to be like, I'm like, when was the last time I played Left 4 Dead 2? She might enjoy that, you know, watching that sort of stuff. But
that's first off amazing that she's diving into your catalog. She's turning into a true kid, like a young adult kid, where they're like, I'm going to sit and watch YouTube video game. Like it's just weird that she's at that age where you're like, yeah, all right, this is what a full-blown kid does. They watch video game clips on YouTube.
Yeah, man. She just likes to watch my streams, and I'm like, I appreciate that. Like the other day, she didn't know how to find. She's like, Dad, I'm trying to find that Midnight Ghost Hunt, but I can't find your stream. I'm like, listen, I subscribe to my own channel, so just go over to subscriptions, find My Get Podcast, and you'll find it under there. Okay, like it is what it is. Like I showed her how to find that stuff, which for better or worse, right?
Yeah. Now, when you were playing this Ghost in the Graveyard game, were you up against a team that was like taunting you or saying some shit? I thought I picked up on something, but I came in right at the tail end when you guys were saying something about this group of people.
We did at one point play against some guys that were pretty good, and they had voice chat on, and they started talking shit.
Yeah, that was about the time where I tuned in. I couldn't figure out what was
and they
going
were
on.
like, L, because they beat us. And then I was like, all right, where's the option to turn that shit off? Because we all were like, we are in no mood to deal with this shit. Like, listen, man.
They still typed you? Because I saw
yeah, you could type.
Okay, yeah.
Seth goes, hey, thanks for doing that because I realized I need to turn off voice chat. So thank you. Thank you for talking. Because I don't need to listen to you guys, talking shit. I'm like, this is our first time playing this game. Don't be fucking assholes, Like
we're also all near 40, or in our 40s.
It's like not all of us, but half of us.
Isn't he? Is he younger than us?
He is a little bit, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or roughly the same age, but Noah and Eric are early to mid 20s. So
never mind. We span the gamut here.
Yeah. That was a fun game.
We have fans all the way from 50 down to 7.
Yeah, right. It happens.
It happens to the best of us.
Somehow it happens. But yeah, so it's nice to have a little fan in the house. I'm excited. I'm happy for her. I like that she's taken an interest in this stuff. And I don't know. Part of me is like, makes me feel good. Just my daughter gives a shit about what I'm doing. And I'm like, guess what? When you get older and you want to know what your dad was like in his 30s, you got hours of content to sift through to figure out what your dad was like. So
absolutely, yeah.
And we've kind of talked about this before, but wouldn't you like that sort of insight into your parents?
I would fucking love it. I would absolutely love it. My dad, when he was younger, was in a band, and in the Quad Cities, they got pretty well known locally, and they would sell out venues again. All locally, you wouldn't ever know of them, but locally cool, they would sell at venues, and they would this, and they put some demos together. So I have in that capacity, I have a record of what my dad was up to at that time, but nothing like this, where it dives, you're hearing his thoughts and his opinions, and in real time, his, what he sounds like. I would love that kind of catalog of a living diary, basically. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, my parents have always been a mystery to me. They've kind of also added fuel to that fire, not really, I don't really have a good idea of who they were. Yeah. And, I think they also come from a generation where they want you to believe that they were perfect angels, where I'm like, I know you weren't. And so I don't know. I believe in a more honest approach to things. And I don't know, maybe Natalie will never listen to these. I didn't make this for her. I made this for me. So, whatever at the end of the day.
Or listening to it's a byproduct. Yeah.
Right. But if I had an opportunity to listen to 8 years of my dad's thoughts, or my mom's thoughts, and be like, wow, I get a real good snapshot of who they were at this point in time and how they changed and evolved and their thoughts and opinions on, and not only that, but also get a really good pulse on things that were happening in pop culture. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boy, that'd be kind of fun, So Natalie, in the future, if you're listening to this, I love you and you're welcome. Enjoy your dad's stupidity,
And we guarantee that you will still be in communication because Doug has learned how not to parent, and you guys still have a good relationship.
That's the dream. That's the hope.
That is the dream. Yeah.
Regardless of where we are, just know that I love you and I'm trying. Okay.
I think that's a really good blanket statement for anywhere that you end up. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love you and I'm trying.
I love you and I'm trying. Speaking of someone who's trying, Doug.
Yes.
This biohacker article sent me today.
I'm glad.
Very interested in this.
I first heard about this on your mom's house podcast.
Okay. I was wondering where this came across your radar.
Because I heard about it, and they spent several minutes on this guy doing kind of a deep dive. And then as I was looking for stuff for us to chat about, I saw this pop up, and I'm like, oh, shit. This could be fun. I didn't even think about it when I heard about it on your mom's house. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Then I'm like, oh, shit. I think I really want to get Justin's thoughts on this guy. So
yeah. This
is from Lad Bible, from an article from Amelia Jones, that basically there's a guy named Bryan Johnson, who essentially he sold.
First off, what an unremarkable name for someone who's doing this.
Thank you for saying that, right?
And again, I'm not cutting him down on that, but it's just like someone is doing that. I'm just like, Bryan Johnson could not be a more generic
milk
name.
Toast. You know what I mean? Just, what kind of ice cream do you like? Vanilla? You know? Not even the good stuff. Give me the frozen vanilla you get in the grocery store.
I don't want any of those flecks in there. Take
no,
those flecks out.
I don't. Yeah, pick out all the vanilla bean seeds out of there. I don't want that. Blah.
No.
I just want.
I want the blandest vanilla.
Yeah.
That doesn't taste like vanilla.
In the morning, I want cold toast with mayonnaise on it. You know, for my breakfast. You know,
but don't toast it too much because that's too spicy.
Yeah, it's too spicy. Yeah. You know, I want just enough where there's maybe a little bit of a crunch, but I don't want any color on it. You know,
right? I don't want to hurt. My teeth are very sensitive.
Yeah,
not too much crunch.
And I don't warm up the mayonnaise. I like it cold. You know,
right?
Just cold mayonnaise on barely warm toast. You know,
right? If you could leave the mayonnaise out for 15 minutes prior to spreading it, just so it comes to, but not full room temperature.
Exactly.
Just a hair cold.
If it's lukewarm, it's too warm. You know,
right? Exactly. Yeah.
I felt the same way. I'm like, Bryan Johnson, tech millionaire. I'm like, really? Bryan Johnson,
really?
Huh? Okay. Cool. All right. Well, this guy apparently, he's 45 years old, and apparently I didn't realize that he apparently created Braintree Venmo, or at least owned it at some point, and he sold it to PayPal for $800 million. Yeah. So the guy made his nut. He did this a decade ago. And he is on this quest to stay young forever. So if this isn't the blueprint for a classic villain, I don't know what is. Like,
right. Well, Doug, I mean, his whole plan is Project Blueprint. That's what he calls it.
Yeah. The aim of biologically becoming 18 again, which, by the way, sir, listen, I don't have $800 million, but I'm going to tell you, no amount of money is going to make you 18 again. Just saying. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a wizard, okay?
Not a body engineer.
I don't understand that shit. My advice out of the gate before we go any further is, sir, accept your end, because it's coming. It's coming for all of us, all right? Yeah. I don't care how many of your $800 million you pour into this, you ain't getting young again, all right? Like, it's not going to happen. So
well, go ahead. Keep going, because I have questions on that. I want to play devil's advocate to it.
Oh, please.
Yes, you are not. There is no way to Benjamin Button this situation and bring yourself back. Fully yes to that. But his
approach to this and the way that he, has aged or calculates the age for different body parts is pretty wild, and we'll get to that in a second. So I want to,
Yeah, well, we're also,
we'll get to the butt in a second.
You beat me to it.
That's something you
beat me to it. That's awesome.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know how he's calculating the age of things, but I would say that based off of all the stuff he's doing, and we'll just kind of cover real quick what he's doing. So he's got a team of 30 doctors who are
over 30 doctors, Justin. Over 30. They're over 30.
There's 31 doctors. And they closely monitor his blood, heart, liver, kidneys, brain, blood vessels, and sexual health, and have taken 33,000 images of the inside of his guts. His routine is he downs 80 vitamins and mineral supplements every day, alongside a very precise 1,977 calorie diet consisting of 70 pounds of mushed vegetables a month, and then almond milk, walnuts, flaxseed, and berries. So based off of the supplements he's taking and all the transfusion, and we'll get to all the other stuff that he's doing, but transfusions, he's doing this and this. I do question whether or not you can not reverse the effects of aging, but bring them to next to a screeching halt. I could see that potentially being possible.
I definitely want to walk something back in here in that I want to commend this person for trying to find the healthiest lifestyle for himself in like a very broad sense. Like, great journey, right, to do that, because I think it's good to find a way to be as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
That being said,
this is where you and I line right up together. Yep.
I think he's going about it in a very unhealthy way, in the sense of just, this guy seems obsessed with this in a way that, hey, if he's happy, good for him. Like, I'm happy for him. I'm totally happy for him. Like,
she asked me, she goes, "What do you think? Are you okay? Like, what do you think of this?" And I'm like, the first thing I was like, if he's truly happy with this choice, more power to him.
Yeah.
But I question it's quantity over quality. It's quantity over quality. I'm like, if you're going to bed at 8:30 every night and you've got to wear these sunglasses and these all this other stuff, like, are you having a life or are you just living to exist?
Well, it's like, to comment on what you said, his strict lifestyle includes exercising for at least an hour a day. Great.
Sure. Okay.
Hitting the sack precisely at 8:30 p.m. every night. That's cool, but how long are you sleeping? I'd like to know.
Absolutely.
How many hours. Blue light blocking glasses. Hey, that's good, right? That's good. Lasering away skin sun damage. Okay. Placating the vagus nerve to control stress with a clip-on gadget and zapping his pelvic floor muscles with electromagnets. Like, okay.
And that's some of the stuff it includes. That's not everything he's doing, FYI.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing, too. If I had $800 million, I could sit around and do this, too. You know what I mean?
Sure, you could, but would you? Like, this is what your focus of your life is now.
Yeah.
Your life's focus is just to live. Mm-hmm. It's just to exist, to keep yourself living, not to experience and enjoy. It's your focus is just to keep going.
Yeah.
It seems like a grind to me.
So he says that 2 years into Project Blueprint, the 45-year-old who calls himself a professional rejuvenation athlete claims he has the heart of a 37-year-old, the skin of a 28-year-old, and an 18-year-old's fitness levels and libido.
Show me the math. Solve for X there. How?
I don't think you want to see the math.
No,
because here's what's going to happen. He's going to show you data, and you're just going to be like, okay, because I don't know how to read it. Do you?
Exactly
I don't.
Happened. Yeah.
He also says, I currently have no plans to die. Bad news, Mr. Bryan Johnson. You're going to die. All right? That's not a threat. That's not a threat. That's a fucking promise. You're going to die. All right? Oh, my God. I love this. How it's like Johnson has previously been labeled a narcissist, a vampire, and even been compared to American Psycho's Patrick Bateman for doing the world's first multi-generational blood plasma exchange.
Yeah. We'll dive into that, but this American Psycho comparison was it.
When you read that and then look at the photo that's right below that, you're like, yeah, this guy looks dead in the eyes. Look at him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, in the photo above it too, I'm like, also don't tell me that you haven't had plastic surgery. Do not sit there and begin to tell me that you haven't had plastic surgery. I'm sorry. Diet and all the stuff that you're doing has its effects, has its positive effects 100%. There's no way a 45-year-old has that kind of no, you've had plastic surgery. Sir, you've had plastic surgery.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Listen,
that's fine,
again,
whatever you need to do.
Whatever he wants to do is his choice. I'm not gonna do that. But I think what I have the most issue with is the idea that this guy's like, I'm gonna find a way to live forever. And I'm like,
right?
Why?
Right. I think let's take it down a little bit further in here. So when he started it, this is the story here of him of why he did it. He sold his company and he went through a messy divorce. He gained 60 pounds on a diet of cookies and pizza. He got depressed by that. He had suicidal thoughts, violent mood swings. And he was like, look, I've got a lot of internal demons. I need to change this. I don't like the way that I'm living. And that fully commendable. That is like, good on you. And then he goes on to say, we are quite literally mad as a species. We are addicted to junk food, to alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, all these things which make us feel bad. We're at war with ourselves. How can we hope to save the planet and to survive as a species if we can't make peace with our own bodies?
Which, by the way, I agree with.
I fully agree with that.
I think almost everything that he said. I think he's absolutely right.
I'd done a lousy job of looking after myself, so I thought, what if I let my body decide how it wants to live? What if data, not emotions, managed how I eat and sleep?
Practical Doug is on board with that statement.
Where I get lost in his mission is this: I have no plans to die. Because I'm like, are you saying that as a marketing ploy? Is this to get attention? Because that's a splashy headline. At the top right here, biohacker who spends $2 million a year to get 18-year-old's body, also phrased poorly, says he has no plans to die. That's a very splashy headline and will get you a lot of media attention. So are you truly thinking that you're not going to die? Or is that just a marketing ploy? Because if you truly think that, now we're starting to split on where we align. Like I see your original mission, but now you've gone into weird territory. You've gone into supervillain territory.
Yeah, and when you get down to, he talks about he sees some improvements in his body. He's like, my left ear is 64. My fitness tests say I'm 18. My heart is 37. My diaphragm strength is 18.
Yeah.
I playfully say I am trying to become like an 18-year-old. My son is 17, so I always tease him and say, when I grow younger, I want to be like you. That is something a rich white man would say to his son.
Yeah.
Just.
I mean, he's also doing this, like we mentioned, the multi-generational blood plasma exchange. That 17-year-old son donated some of his blood because there was a study done on rats saying that older rats got rejuvenated when they received transfusion from younger rats. So his 17-year-old son gave him some blood, and then he donated some plasma to his 70-year-old father. And I'm like, okay. And again, I am firmly in the stance of body autonomy. Like what you want to do, if it's your body, you get to do what you want. So if his son is saying, yeah, I'm totally down for giving you some of my blood, and then he wants to do this, and his father's okay with receiving plasma from him. If everyone's in agreement with this and they're doing this, that's their journey, and I say more power to him. If he starts to actually become a vampire and like starts stealing people and taking their blood, then we have an issue. But do I think it's weird? 100%.
Like, here's the thing. What if this guy in his research actually does turn about some data that can be used to further, human livelihood and health? And fantastic.
That's amazing.
I just struggle with him as a person and his ideology behind all this sort of stuff. Like, I really struggle with him and the idea of just... Again, if he's happy, great. We've said that a couple of times now. We don't have to say it anymore. If he's happy, he's happy. That's great. The idea of every day you have to have 80 vitamins and mineral supplements, a very precise calorie diet, which, by the way, it doesn't sound like it's very enjoyable at all, right? No. He even goes on to say that the thought of a burger or a glass of wine makes him feel sick, Like,
and that's where we fully diverge, Ken and I, because a burger and a glass of wine is literally on my list for last meal.
Yeah,
that is it, man. That's heaven to me.
And again, I'm with him, man. The shit that we make that's so cheap and so bad for people to eat. I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, I've said this before. In college, the worst stuff to eat was the cheapest, and you ate that stuff because you didn't have any fucking money. So It was easy to eat donuts than it was to eat a thing full of strawberries because the donuts were like an eighth of the cost of eating strawberries. So, and there's a reason why most, poor people in our country are obese is because the only thing they can afford is cheap shit that doesn't fill them up and is high in calories, you know? Like,
right. Well, and let's not even get into the whole how it's structured in their, you know, plate. Like there's those types of fast food joints and stuff are placed in those neighborhoods and around the people. Absolutely. Yeah,
I had to explain what a buffet was to Natalie the other night, you know, because Jill and I were talking about it.
This is where Dad used to make his money back.
Yeah, I explained it to her. I said, listen, if you're looking to try different types of food, like going to a Chinese buffet was one of the best and worst things for me because I learned what I liked from Chinese food, which was good. But also, I ate gross amounts of food. I also made abominable, shameful combinations, you know, that I put together. And, you know, Jill and I were also explaining to her, like, the reason why those places are so profitable is because they make the food really, really cheap in large quantities. I was explaining to her, I'm like, I made you dinner tonight specifically for you. I didn't make it for an indeterminable amount of people that would maybe come by our house tonight. If I did, I wouldn't take the same care and comfort that I did in making you your dinner tonight, which is why when we go out to eat, we like to go to places where we can order specific things that we want so they make it fresh right then and there.
Right.
Buffets, no, they just sit there under a warming light, they dry out, and there's just, it's not good. It's not good. And you overeat, and it's a bad thing. It's a bad combination. So Bryan Johnson's absolutely right. There's a bunch of shit in our society that sucks that just, you know, we get used to it. It becomes part of our routine. I'm thrilled that Natalie doesn't like soda. She doesn't even like, I tried out some new seltzer water. It's called Waterloo. I hadn't seen it before. I found it at Costco. Yeah. I'm like,
Waterloo's a staple in our fridge.
Fucking love Waterloo. It's awesome. Natalie she's been really brave lately with trying stuff. She's like, can I try some of that? I'm like, oh, listen, I know how you are with this kind of stuff. It's not typically your thing, but you're welcome to try it. I gave her like the smallest thing and she's like, blah! Like she doesn't like the bubbles. She does not like the bubbles.
Carbonation has
she's never had anything with carbonation, so she's not used to it. Which I'm like, you know what? Good for you.
Right?
Don't go down that road.
It's not a bad place to be. Yeah,
Don't go down that road. Because I told her, listen, there's other stuff that tastes really, really good because it's got an ass load of sugar in it. And you don't need that in your life. So don't do that, okay?
Right. Ignorance is bliss in that regard.
Yeah, I go, listen, you're not going to like how this tastes. And that's okay. Because for the longest time, I thought this stuff tasted like ass. And for now, I'm like, hey, it works for me. You know? Like
it scratches an itch that you don't need to know about.
I find it refreshing with a little bit of flavor, but I get it. Like, you don't have to like it. But she just drinks it. She's like, bah! And just spits it out immediately. I'm like, it's fine. It's totally cool.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
Mic, you and I are going to have to compare flavors. Because,
sure. I've only gotten to try three so far, but I
just tried 2 new ones, and I'm all in on these 2 new ones.
Yeah, I just went to Costco. When you go to Costco, you get what they have. So, I'm like, cool, I'll take these. And it was, so far, I'm a fan of them. So it's really good. So again,
this episode brought to you by Waterloo Sparkling
Waterloo. The Battle of Waterloo. So this guy, I get his perspective. I don't like his attitude about it, and I don't like there's a creepy vibe to this guy.
There's 100% a creepy vibe. Just the pictures alone, there's something is just off. It just doesn't. My spider sense is going off. We'll say that.
Yeah. I think there's. Let me see if I can find something about this guy, because I also like on Your Mom's House, they did kind of a little bit of a dive onto this guy, and he ain't all he's cracked up to be. So in a sense that like he was dating a girl for a while, and I think she was suing him like for money, and I think he was quoted as saying the relationship with her was a net negative. So that's why I'm like, oh, good, you're putting this in profit terms. Good to know.
He thinks, he thinks in those regards. Okay.
Yeah. So,
How did I think he was British? He's from Utah, Provo, Utah.
Of course, he's from Utah. Absolutely, he has.
Why not?
Oh, yeah. Johnson has 3 children. He was raised as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He left the church when he was 34. Oh, he's a pilot. And he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Good for him.
Good for him. Like a billionaire should.
Right? I don't know, man. I don't know. So this guy is weird to me. I appreciate the idea of being healthy. Maybe in the midst of all this something good will come out of it in the sense of we'll find out some information about the body and how it processes things. I appreciate his data-driven approach to, I want to measure this sort of stuff. But him as a person and his ultimate goal of like, I want to be younger. I'm like...
Or never die. I'm like...
I literally tonight, Jill's like, what are you going to be talking about? I'm like, oh, we're going to talk about this weirdo who is basically trying to live forever. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah. I was like, he wants to have immortality now. He's like, what's immortality? I go, it's basically someone who never wants to die. And I go, and listen, kiddo, we all start, we all live, and we all end. That's the way things go. And that's what makes life beautiful. I go, because listen, at some point, I'm going to want to die. All right? Like, and
Jesus Christ.
I'm at peace with that.
What talk you guys have in the Cochran house?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I'm totally at peace with that. And I've said this too many times during the podcast. If you said, Tug, you're immortal, I'm like, you've cursed me.
No.
I don't want to live forever. What a horrible idea. Just absolutely awful. Don't want to live forever. Fuck that shit. I think I understand being afraid of death because that's scary. Not knowing what's on the other side. You know, how are you going to die? Is it painful? Is it whatever? Like that, I totally understand. But the idea of like, no. I want to live forever. What the fuck's wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong? What do you want to see? The end of everything? You want to be a front row seat to watch us destroy this fucking planet? Watch the sun go out? Die and the horrible ending of everything? Why? Why would your brain is not capable of processing that? You would go insane. Why would you want to do that? I want to live forever. Go fuck yourself. What do you got to do? What that tells me is you're a procrastinator. You're not getting shit done. I need more time. I need an extension on the paper. We'll fucking get to it today, buddy. Because we're on a clock. All right? Get it done. Stop wasting time. Get your shit done. Do your homework and go enjoy life.
If his experiment does open up some revelations about the human body and how to hack it a little bit to maybe squeeze a few extra years out. We might have gone over this before. I can't remember what your answer was, but what is the maximum amount of years that you would be comfortable going for? Like 100, 120, 150? Where would you talk now? And this presuming also that everyone is able to go along for the ride. Like you're not like outliving your child. These medical enhancements and everything kind of are able to be applied to society. So everyone is getting the same kind of extension, if that makes sense.
There's a lot of factors. This sounds like an ass practical, Doug.
Sure.
With the way I break this down is, but I mean, because we already have one set up for later. But the idea is, what's my quality of life? Sure. You know what I mean? Because if I'm fucking miserable, but it's like, guess what, Grandpa? You can live for an extra 20 years. I'm like, I don't want to live an extra 20. Doing what? I can barely move. Someone has to constantly move me around.
In this scenario, his body hacks have opened up science in a way that it not only gives us the years, but like it allows us to stay mobile and stay active through those years.
That's a pretty big qualifier for me. If that means that my mobility and stuff like that is improved,
your function, like you've got all your faculties are all in place and are all firing on all cylinders.
I think that's the big factor for me, is just like my quality of life. Because if that is drastically improved, then at this point in my mind, like that's a slippery slope, man. Because if you can just be like, let's add a couple more years, one more year, one more year. This is going down a very fun road in the sense of like, I don't necessarily want to give myself my own expiration date, but at the same time, like I do believe in euthanasia, like not consensual euthanasia.
Sure. Yes.
Not just taking people out Old Yeller style and just, hey, go catch the ball. Huh? Bam.
Grandpa, can we see you outside for a second?
Grandpa, we're going hunting.
We're going hunting.
Good.
I'll get my vest. You won't need it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you won't need it. I do believe in that sort of stuff, but at the same time, I've also I think I heard a story recently of It was someone whose grandmother had been dealing with a brutal illness, and she went to a place for euthanasia, and she basically scheduled the day that it was going to happen. And it was like a very kind of controversial to a lot of people because it's not something we all really get to deal with. Sure. Some people thought it was cruel, but this woman was in full faculty. This girl went and spent like the last couple of days with their grandmother. Like they went out to eat, they planned everything. And then like the night before, she was like kind of doing a video journal. She's like, how do you feel? She's like, I feel great. This has been fun. I'm ready. She's like, are you scared? She's like, no, I'm ready for this to be over. And I'm like, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Owning your life in that regard. But the conceit of that is my life is full of suffering right now. And I want it to end on my terms, which by the way, listen, if you are the idea of like, you have to expire naturally. Otherwise there's a penalty at the end of this. Go fuck yourself. That is the stupidest thing I can even conceive of right now where it's like, hey, he's in a lot of pain. Well, he's got to tough it out.
Well, too bad. Yeah.
If his body doesn't shut down, then it's cheating. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, and for the record, I'm not advocating for suicide or anything like that. I'm saying like, if you are, truly just like, my body is dying. It sucks to live every day just to get up and move. It's like so painful and I have disease and whatever. It's like, yeah, you should be able to be like, I'm done. Bye. Quality of life sucks. I'm out of here. Like you should totally be able to do that. So anyway, that all out there in a nice little mind gap tangent.
So Doug,
answer my fucking question. I would be hesitant because it feels like cheating in a video game. As I just, made that whole argument about, his body's got to expire its own. I feel like if someone's like, hey man, we could add 5 years to your account, if you wanted to, I'd be like, it'd be tough. This is such a weird hypothetical because I can't. Practical Doug's like, there's no way you would be in such good health where you're like, I'll just add 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if like I'm declining, that's what natural causes. It's like it's because you're not doing well. Like your body's like giving out. Right. So the idea of like, oh, we can reverse that and give you 5 or 10 years. Like, I mean, part of me would probably. It depends on what's going on. I mean, part of me would be like, yeah, I'd love to spend more time with Natalie, spend more time with Jill, do the podcast for 5 to 10 more years. Like all that good stuff.
You and I are both 104, and we're just.
And they're like, will this fucking shit ever end? And we're like, no.
Oh my God.
They're like, I'm like, hey, Justin, guess what?
I'm going to come.
Like.
You can still do that?
No, but I can do this.
And I didn't mean to.
It just happens,
It's just, I've opened a channel.
But if you take the pill, you can control it, like.
Ooh. How are you breathing?
Machine.
Good one. Very, very good. So let me kick that back over to you. I know you're. I want to say your battle with death. You're not fighting death, but your sort of issues with dying are very strong with you. Like, how would you handle that sort of situation? It's like, hey man, we could extend this 5 to 10 years.
That would be tough for me because it would be hard it'd be hard for me not to seriously entertain that idea. I feel like I would be, who isn't the salmon? Hobbs?
It's Hobb.
Hobb, yeah. Hobbs is Fast
Calvin and Hobbs.
Sure. I was going to say Hobbs and Shaw. Yes, I would be Hobb. I think I circle that Hobb-like mentality where I'm like, I'm not ready yet. A little longer. Let's see where this goes. Let's see what else happens. But I think after talking with you all these years, you have helped me open up a new neural pathway of thinking about
a sad one, I assume,
about this, where I'm just like, yeah, it would be. I'll tell you what really started to change my mind on it was when we did the Ask Practical Doug about the snail.
Right. Yeah.
And that guy, and he talked about it, and he's like, yeah, like eventually this this planet becomes uninhabitable, the star dies, and we go on to a different one. But then eventually the universe ends, or it gets so far expanded, billions and billions and billions of years from now, that yada, 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 that you are literally just the last thing floating through space going, cool, what now? Until, presumably everything sucks back in and the Big Bang happens all over again, depending on what, astronomy theory that you subscribe to. But that made me really think. I'm like, oh, Practical Justin perked up, and I'm like, that would be rather miserable. And just watching all of that kind of go by and happen. So I'm starting to change my tune on wanting to live forever. Like, typically I've been in the opposite camp of you, but like, I feel like I'm coming around to understanding why that's not such a good thing. So I would say if I'm painting with very broad brushstrokes, maybe 150. I think it'd be fun to go 150.
That made my heart skip where I'm like,
maybe, I don't know. Again, I've lost all four of my grandparents to dementia now. So it's like, look, the deck is stacked against me right now. So I don't know what my future holds, but if I can stave that off and retain, good mental health and everything, I wouldn't mind pushing it a little bit and just kind of seeing where things are, with the caveat that if I'm ready to go, I can just go, let's wrap this up. We're good now. I think that almost worries me more than natural death is having to choose like today or let's go the 19th. How's that sound for everybody? Good? We good? Yeah.
I like that in the sense of it does like give you a little bit of like a pit in your stomach. You're like, oh shit, like this is because it's such a mystery. Death is a mysterious thing where you're like, I don't know.
Choosing to hang it up. That's
and to basically like today's the day that it's like putting an animal down, a pet down.
Yeah.
You're like,
oh God, I literally my skin just crawled when you said that.
It's the worst. Where we call and we make an appointment to put the animal down. You're like, today's the day. Like I've personally done that 3 times now. I've grown up with pets my whole life, but I've only had to do it like physically myself. Usually my parents took care of it. So I've had to do that. It is the weirdest fucking thing in the world. To be like, I'm here to kill my animal. Like that's what it is. And it's for a good reason.
Like, we're here. It's for another day.
And just to watch the life leave them is
oh God, Jesus Christ.
Bizarre.
Man.
It's bizarre. It's a bizarre and gut-wrenching thing. But when they're suffering, you're like, this is it's sad, but you're like, this you have to choose the right time to do it, because if they're like, please kill me, you're like, oh, we waited too long, But if you go too early, they're like, hey, I'm fine, I'm fine, and you're like, oh God,
too long.
And I did that. I waited too long with one of my cats. They were basically like, I'm like, I'm sorry, we should have done this like last week. I'm so sorry. They're like, I don't want to be here.
Right. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. But the idea of doing that for myself, there's something freeing in that of like, I'm owning this. And you're also choosing I'm assuming a painless way to go, because my biggest fear about death is like, how's this going to happen? Am I going to stop breathing? Am I going to experience suffocating? Am I going to is some just horrific pain or like disease going to eat away at me? Am I going to have a heart attack? Am I going to have an aneurysm? Am I going to get hit by a car? Like just what?
Well, like in the movie, the Old Guard that we talked about when I came up. The concept of living forever. And then one of the characters gets imprisoned underwater, and they have to experience drowning and coming back over and over for centuries. They're trapped underwater and they're dying. They're drowning over and over and over again. And then they wake up and immediately drown again and wake up. And they're doing that for fucking centuries. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
The idea of drowning, just what, and listen, I accept that those things just, they can happen, unexpectedly and whatever. But, the idea of being today's the day, I'm choosing it to be this way.
Yeah.
There's something very powerful in that. It's weird.
Yeah, I could I could see that. I can see the argument there. I just there's something about it. It's just I can't. I don't know if it's the way I'm wired or what, but
I don't think anyone's wired to be like, hey,
I can't make my peace with it.
I know there's some cultures, I think, that, there's like, I mean, well, this is based on fiction, but I don't know if you ever saw the movie Midsummer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So they, in that movie, minor spoilers for that, in this, I guess Swedish or whatever tribe of people, when you hit 70 years old, you get to jump off a cliff. Which also, horrible way to go out.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because if you don't die on impact, then they beat you until you die, like with a hammer,
Yeah.
Which is absolutely brutal. But they have a whole celebration. Like they sit down, they have a feast, they eat, and then they're like, all right, time to jump off the cliff. And they do it.
Here we go.
Yeah. And
I think, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I think part of why it's so hard for me to wrap my head around I understand the beauty in it. But I think the part of my struggle to wrap my head around it is just our age right now.
Yeah.
Because we do have so much, presumably, we have so much time ahead of us. And we're in the midst of really just kind of, I feel like a lot of people say like, best years are behind me. I truly don't feel like that. I still feel like some of the best years are still upcoming. And I my step-grandma, for example, she, towards the end of her life, she was like, I've made my peace. She was a religious lady. She goes, I've made my peace with God. I'm, this and this, and I'm ready. Like, let's rock and roll. When it happens, I'm ready. And she was sick with a few things, and she just kept saying, yeah, I'm good. Like, I've had a great life. I had kids, I had grandkids, I got remarried, I have step-grandkid. I've enjoyed the places I've lived and the trips I've gone on and this, and I'm good. And I think it's because of where she was in her life that she was able to accept it. I think it's harder for me to wrap my head around that concept at this point because I'm so far removed from that mentally, where I'm like, I haven't had everything that I've wanted to do yet. So
that was going to be my follow-up question. If you were, they said, hey man, you're going out tomorrow.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
I would be devastated if I was going out tomorrow.
What do you feel like you're missing out on?
Episode 500.
Damn right. First thing out of the gate, right?
Putting it out there, yeah. Or sorry, episode 402.
Right?
I wouldn't see that. Yeah. For that matter. The biggest, man, it's hard to pick. Like, what's the biggest thing that I would? I think one of my biggest regrets would be not having seen more of the world yet. Like, I've got a big desire to travel and to see some shit. I know I'm not going to hit all the continents and see this, that, and the other. But there's a list of countries that I'd still like to go explore and at least spend a couple days in, and maybe do the tour of Europe where it's like 2 days in Germany, 2 days in England, 2 days this. Yeah. Whatever it is, I would still like to go and explore more of the world. And so without getting to see some of just how beautiful this planet is, I think that would really bum me out. That'd be one of the things that I would be the hardest to swallow.
For sure.
Yeah. What about you?
Obviously, I mean, the big thing for me was just Natalie. Not seeing her become who she is, grow up, because I'm constantly like, man, what are you going to be like? You're going to be like next year? What are you going to be like in 10 years? Like, what kind of person are you going to be like? What are you going to enjoy? What are you going to be into? I'm just so curious about who she's going to grow up to be. And obviously hanging out with Jill is the best. I think personally, my mental state on most things right now, I'm very at peace with things. Like, my work-life balance is fantastic. And I feel like this is probably the most I've enjoyed life just on a day-to-day basis. Like, I'm very, very happy. And, I've got to travel, not extensively, but I've been to a lot of places. I've been to a lot of places in Europe. I've been to Disney World lots of times. I mean,
Epcot, I've seen a lot of different.
Been around the world, man. And even recently, just doing small trips in the Midwest. we're heading down to Nashville for the Mind Gap annual get together. Pew, 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 pew. Like, that's gonna be exciting. You know, it's just the idea of just going and exploring stuff. Like, I've gotten an opportunity to do that, and I feel, you know, pretty fulfilled on that. But then also I get rejuvenated where Natalie's like, you know, she talks about how she goes, Dad, I want to try food from all different parts of the world. I'm like, all right, okay. That's what I like talking about. And then we were talking about different things, and she's like, I think one of Jill's coworkers just went to Japan, and Natalie's like, can we go to Japan? And I'm like, well, I've never really considered going there because, you know, I've always felt like the language difference would be a bit of a, you know,
stretch there,
you know, it'd be stressful for me. But, you know, apparently since they've had the Olympics, a lot of the stuff has been, you know, a lot more easier because I love the culture. I love the architecture. I love a lot of things about that. So I'm like, she putting that out there. I'm like, why not? You know, she's like, Dad, can we go to London? I'm like, yeah, we should go. We should go over to England. We go see Richie, you know, like it'd be cool. You know, just
absolutely.
Her curiosity and outlook on life, just, if anything, you know what, Bryan Johnson, my child gives me life. My child renews my childhood. And because of that, I had a s'mores cookie tonight because I don't need to eat your diet to feel young again.
And that's a healthy way. But I will say Bryan Johnson's kid does give him life too. Literally gives him his blood. Yeah.
Yeah. As you know, because he's like, it was a plasma exchange. I imagine he like turns into Morbius and just like sucks the plasma out and spits it into a bowl. He's like, here we go. Now put this in my body. They're like, why didn't you just swallow it? He's like, that's not scientific. You know,
that's not scientific. IV.
I wanted an IV. They're like, all right, I guess. Jesus Christ.
As they're hooking up, they're just looking at each other, just go, I think he's just like saying IV. I don't know.
He's like, listen, man, he's paying $2 million a year. I mean, I'll fucking, you know, whatever, man.
Give him all the IVs in the world. That's
whatever,
fine. Most
dude.
of this is just salines.
This is just, we do this like 2 hours a day and we get paid like boatloads of money. This is awesome, you know?
I can buy a boat. Oh,
yeah.
Dude, don't do that.
Don't you dare do that. Why? I heard this guy on this podcast with a lot of farts on the soundboard said, you know, it's a depreciating asset. Oh, really? Is he a financial guy? No, he's kind of an idiot. Oh, yeah? Like, how do you know? He's like, oh, he plays like really weird clips like this.
Just finger blasted ourselves. It was great.
You know? Yeah.
It was, yeah. I think, well, the thing is, I think that what makes you so easy to listen to is your steadfast opinions. Like, you are very, very grounded and rooted. You're like, when you make you have very strong opinions. And that makes you seem very official.
Thank you.
That's what it is. That's what it is. The other thing
it sounds like I'm an asshole is what it sounds like.
No, you said that. What? No. The other thing that makes you sound so official is how practical you can get.
Yes.
It's your practicality.
Yes.
You know?
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical.
Yep. Practical. Get it. Practical. Get it. Practical. Get it. Practical. Get it. Practical. Get it.
Ask Practical Doug.
Oh, shit.
Oh, mommy.
You've never been here before. Welcome. Ask Practical Doug is the segment we like to do because there's a little Doug that lives inside Big Doug. And little Doug is known as Practical Doug. And Practical Doug is very pragmatic. He guides Big Doug through all of life's quandaries and through these questions and decisions in a very practical manner. And you can ask Practical Doug a question and get a very practical answer back on any social medias. If you at MindGap Podcast, hashtag Ask Practical Doug and go ahead and ask your question. On Discord, did you know we have Discord? Well, we do. We have a server. You can join it. There's many, many channels on that server. You can peruse all of them and meet the Mind Gap community. And one of those channels is Ask Practical Doug. And you can ask right there. Or, well, actually, you know what? That's the only two ways. We used to stream this live, and we're taking a little break on that. So you can't ask live. But those other two ways are just fine. That's enough. It's enough ways. So, Doug, we've got another Am I the Asshole tonight.
Yeah, baby.
I also came across a really gross Would You Rather.
Oh, boy.
So we could do a twofer.
Both.
All right. The would you rather harkens back to one of the worst ones that you've ever posed to me.
Yes,
But it's-
yes.
Light twist on it. So we'll do Am I the Asshole? And then as a palate cleanser / the equivalent of licking shit off the bottom of a shoe, we'll do the would you rather. So
Nice.
am I the asshole for getting mad at my husband because his brother and
Son-in-law.
his brother, son-in-law, and friend didn't wish me happy birthday. So the husband is 31. They felt the need to say that. So my birthday was yesterday, several months prior to
Real
my
quick, this is from Suck My Dick Wall Street on Reddit.
Yes. I didn't even notice. I thought Piss Mittens was a great was a great handle. Suck My Dick Wall Street is right up there.
Yeah.
So Suck My Dick, Doug, Suck My Dick Wall Street asks. This is like what's that what's that fucking
Casey Kasem.
Doug, Suck My Dick Wall Street writes, my birthday was yesterday. Several months prior, my husband bought us tickets for a music festival that was going to take place on my birthday. Despite me saying I wasn't interested in going, he loves one of the artists headlining. I kind of forgot about it and assumed he would sell the tickets since I wasn't interested. Fast forward to a few weeks before my birthday, and my parents wanted to take us and some extended family to a soccer game for my birthday. I'm very interested in this as I enjoy both soccer and spending time with my family. I tell my husband this, and we end up having a big argument because he wants to go to the music festival. In the end, I convince him to go to the game as we would still have time to go see the artist he likes. So that's what we ended up doing. However, when we got to the music fest last night and met up with my husband's brother, son-in-law, and the friend group, my husband's friend through his brother, all of whom I've known for several years now, none of them knew it was my birthday, I guess. And my husband did not tell them. I didn't even want to go to this thing. None of them care about me, and it's my birthday. I was and still am angry with my husband. Why didn't he tell them? At least say happy birthday. Didn't feel good. Am I the asshole for getting mad at my husband about this? And the newspaper article I was referencing is Dear Abby, where people
There you
write
go. You got it.
So, anyway, Doug, is this person the asshole?
This is interesting because Suck My Dick Wall Street she talks about a couple different things, but the one thing she's asking about specifically is what happens at the end. So I want to break this down bit by bit. So her husband wants to go to this music festival to see an artist that he and his friends really like on her birthday. I find that to be insensitive on the husband's part because it's her birthday. He should ask her what she wants to do. All right. Now, if there's a way to say, hey, look, this is a once a year festival, right? Like, let's say it's Lollapalooza or whatever. It comes around once a year, you know, big deal. And one of my favorite artists is playing there. I'd be like, hey, I know it's your birthday. This is a big, like, this is one of my favorite artists. Like, is it cool if we try to find a way to make this work, right? Like, you know, I could understand that. It doesn't sound like, at least from this person's perspective, that's how this is going. So, based on this person's perspective, I think that's a dick move on the husband's part for basically being like, I want to do something you don't want to do. With my friends, too, also, by the way. This isn't just a one-on-one. It's like, I'm going to go with my brother and son-in-law and my friends and yada, yada, yada. So there's that. And then, so then her parents suggested the soccer game. So, which obviously I feel like the parents understand what she likes, what she's interested in. And then like she has to like twist her husband's arm to get him to agree to go to this.
Right.
Now, I understand, too, if he's like, hey, I already bought tickets to this thing, you know? But the thing I don't like about this, she goes, I kind of forgot about and assumed he would sell the tickets since I wasn't interested. That is a lack of communication on both their parts.
Is.
If you're like, hey, I don't want to go to this. It's my birthday. I have no interest. Like, I'm not going. I would like to spend time with me. Because this sounds like something like, I'm also projecting here to some degree, I think, but it's like, sounds like she was like, hey, this doesn't sound like a good idea. And that's where the conversation ended. In her mind, she's like, I told him exactly what I wanted, and he didn't hear that. And that's because the words were not spoken. So therefore, I assumed he would sell the tickets. Did you ask him to sell the tickets? Right. Because if you didn't, then he obviously didn't. So anyway, soccer game sounds like something she really likes. You know, it sounds like a good birthday present for her, you know, whatever. So up to this point, I feel like the husband's an asshole based on this. I also kind of like in her court a little bit. I'm like, did you communicate super well about exactly what you wanted to do and what your expectations were and yada, yada, yada. It's kind of up for debate. But the fact that the husband's like, I'm going to this music festival on your birthday, and even though you don't want to go, I'm still going to go with my friends. Like, that's pretty fucked up. So I'm giving this to her in that moment, not the asshole. Now,
absolutely.
When you get to I ended up going, and then no one wished me happy birthday. Kind of like, what are your expectations here?
So I think the opposite here.
Okay.
I think because this is where I think the husband is still very much the asshole. Mm-hmm. So he had didn't sell the tickets. He was still planning on going. She had to convince him to come to the soccer game by saying she had to come up with the solution.
Yeah.
By saying, like, you come to the soccer game, we can still go to the music fest that you want to do on my birthday, this and this and this. So she ended up coming up with a solution to make him happy on her birthday. The least he could have done was say, hey, it's my wife's birthday. When she gets here, it would mean a lot if you all just wished her happy birthday because she's coming here to see the band that I like on her birthday. And she made it work because she's fucking awesome and yada, yada. I think it would have gone a long way for him to make that effort to be like, thank you for at least coming here, even though you didn't want to do this on your birthday. I'm going to let people know it's your special day, and we're going to celebrate you a little bit.
I think he could even just really go the most basic level here, which is, hey guys, I'm going to be late to the festival because it's my wife's birthday and I'm doing some shit she wants to do. You know what I mean? Like, if we want to just really bare bones this thing down, this information could have been spoken about, right? Because they obviously had to change their plans a little bit. They weren't going to go to the whole festival the whole time, right? They're going to the soccer game first, and then they're going to the festival. So if he's coordinating that, obviously he'd be like, I'm going to the soccer game, and you would think he would say somewhere in that, like, it's her birthday.
Right.
So, and to that degree, anyone who has, like, I don't know, any sort of awareness could be like, oh, it's her birthday. And so they go, oh, hey, happy birthday. Something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be some great big, all right, when she gets here, all right, you say happy, you say birthday, you say happy, you say, like.
Right. Well, I'm not even saying that much.
I know.
I don't think it's I don't think it's putting anyone out to just be like, hey, when we get here, can you just, wish her happy birthday because it would mean a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It can be very simple, but the husband didn't have the forethought to do that.
Yeah.
Very selfish in his part.
I think my hang up on this, and this is just my own thing, is when someone's like, they didn't wish me happy birthday, I get triggered by that. Because I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? Who the fuck do you think you are that I have to go out of my way to wish you a happy fucking birthday? But when you break it down, when you put all that stuff into context of this guy made no effort on her birthday to do something she wanted. He was so focused on doing the thing he wanted to do. And then when she did show up, everyone was like, oh, what's up? Like no one... Now, because I also personally, and this is just me, it has nothing to do with her, I wouldn't expect anybody to wish me a happy birthday.
Would you expect Jill to?
Would I expect Jill to wish me a happy birthday? Of course.
Because in the title it says my husband, because, oh, fuck, no, I read that wrong.
I know I can see how you can see that, like, basically saying that the husband didn't wish it, but it sounds like...
happy birthday to. Never mind. I take that back. Go ahead.
So, me personally, when it's my birthday, I have zero expectations for anyone. Like,
sure.
Even Jill, my expectations are low, and that's not because she's bad. I just, like, I don't put a ton of value on my birthday. For Father's Day, she's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, who fucking cares? We're going to Nashville. Like, I don't need anything. I'm the worst to shop for because I just, like... Right. I'm so, like, self-deprecating, whatever. I'm like, I don't fucking need anything. It's fine. Like, it is what it is. So if I was going somewhere, I wouldn't expect anyone to be like, oh, by the way, happy birthday. I did. I'd be blown away. I'd be like, oh, wow, thank you so much. That's totally cool. But based on the context of this guy need to put in even the bare minimum effort here. This guy missed, man. He missed the bar on this.
Absolutely.
Real bad.
Yeah.
This is basic. This is 101 shit right here. Like, how hard is it just to do the basicness, and again, I would love more context, but it's like this music festival is such like a unique thing that only comes around once every 4 years, and it was just happened to land on her birthday, and was he able to communicate like, hey, I love this shit, and I'm so sorry it's your birthday. Can we find out, was there any of that? Because if there's not, this guy's a total fucking asshole. Like, undoubtedly, This guy's a piece of shit. He's not doing anything. He's not doing any maintenance. He's not communicating. He's not trying to do anything. Also, I would love to know, does this person also communicate that her birthday means a lot to her? And that these things, I hate to say the word love language, but is her love language, something that falls in the line of recognition, right? Like the idea of someone saying that. Is that a well-known thing in the relationship? Because if it is, this guy totally screwed the pooch. Just
absolutely, yeah.
Classic guy shit, like selfish guy shit in this regard. So I feel like there's some pockets of things that I would love to dig into more, but that's also kind of what this is you kind of have to take it for what it is. And based on how this lays out, I don't think Suck My Dick Wall Street is the asshole here. Like, I think I can understand them being disappointed because it sounds like the most basic level of appreciation was completely absent on their birthday.
It is decided. Oh boy. That was not what I wanted to have happen. Oh boy. Okay. It is decided. Not the asshole.
By the way, the majority of Reddit listed her as the asshole.
Really?
Yeah.
I
was kind of blown away by that. And even a lot of most recent comments are like, I don't know why they list you as the asshole. Like, people are like, I'm kind of confused. I was like,
I'll tell you why. It's because the fucking the incels on Reddit are pissed off that they're taking away the porn.
That's right. Yeah. Right? That's what they're mad about. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Give me the would you rather.
All right. So, a Freaky Friday type incident happens, and your mother and your wife swap bodies. The only way to get them back into their proper bodies is to have sex with one of them. Would you rather have sex with your mom in your wife's body or have sex with your wife in your mom's body?
My wife in my mom's body.
That was way too quick. You came at that way too quick.
Listen, here's the thing. If I know Jill's in there and this is like a ghost situation and I got to make love to Whoopi Goldberg, to get the ghost out of there, I'll do that because I know in the core there's an awesome human being in there. If I look at my wife and my mom's essence is invading that beautiful human being with the words and her mentality, it's like, get the fuck out of here, man. I will absolutely close my eyes and just, knowing Jill is in there is all I need. Knowing my mom is in there is also all I need to be like, absolutely not. Don't get fucked by me. Yeah. Go somewhere else because I have such ill feelings towards my mom right now. I'd be like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. One way or the other, it's happening in this scenario. But if I know this little meat, vessel is the only thing that's represented, it's not truly who my mom is, I can make that work versus like, oh, there's a demon inside. My wife's possessed by this fucking evil abomination. It's like, no way, absolutely not.
But tell us how you really feel.
Oh, I will.
So to sum up, what you're saying is,
I'd put my dick in worse.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. It's decided.
It is. It's done. That was a really good one, by the way. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah. I saw that it came across Instagram.
What about you,
today.
Justin?
So recommendations. What do we got going?
You're just going to duck this? You're going to duck this, huh? No. Would you rather's go both ways, baby?
I'm going through a tunnel. You're breaking up.
No. You don't get to dodge this. I'm not going to let this go, Justin. You got to give me your answer.
You know what it is, Doug? I think that let's just ride this out and see how it goes, for 150 years. We got the technology now, and we can just see maybe it takes care of itself.
Did you really not anticipate me flipping this back on you?
Of course I did.
Oh, okay. I was like, the way you're acting, you're just like, yeah, you don't. I have to say this. And all the time that I've known you, there's not a lot of stuff that makes you really squeamish and uncomfortable. This is one of those things. I've shut down an entire G-chat group chat with a would you rather between you and Drew. I remember going in there and I'm like, holy shit, I silenced this thing years ago with an awful would you rather. And you're like, no.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we might have talked about this before, but if you
I don't
haven't
remember what the question was, but
Doug, it was something similar to this. It was in this vein, but Doug posed a question like this in the G chat, and that was the last thing that was said. And we all just kind of accepted that no one ever typed. And Doug opened it. I think it was like 3 or so years later. He's like, what's this chat that's still over here? And he's like, holy shit, it's been 3 years since anyone said a word in this. And I shut it down with this disgusting would you rather.
That's like the equivalent of invading a town, leveling it, and then salting the earth so nothing will ever be able to grow there ever again. That's exactly what I did to that chat. I think it was something about making out with your sibling or your parents. Like, it was something along those lines.
Yeah, I think there was. Yeah, it was. I think that was actually it. Would you rather make out with? Yeah.
I've never seen you that like just disgusted.
I was like skeeved. No,
you're like, I was like, make your choice. And you're like, that's when you turn to Drew. You're like, this is dumb. I'm not answering this question.
I pulled to Drew. Yeah, I turned into Drew. I think your logic is sound in this scenario. So I'd probably go the same route.
Yeah.
Now, again, let me put the caveat in. I don't hold the same disdain.
Justin's like, I love my mom, and we talk.
Yeah. Like, we talk all the time. We have a very healthy relationship at this point in our lives. But with the same shell of a concept, I think that would be knowing that Beth's essence was there. That would be more of a, I guess that'd be more palatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Justin. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
What do you got to recommend this week, buddy? Besides therapy.
ZocDoc. I'm going to recommend on Disney Plus, The Sum of It All. It's a 4-part Ed Sheeran documentary. And I was lukewarm on Ed Sheeran. I liked him. I kind of nothinged him. Like, if he came on the radio, I was like, it's a good song. I'll listen to it. But I never really sought out his music. I watched this documentary and I'm a fan now. It completely changed my attitude towards him as a creator, as a musician, as an artist. I never had any ill will to him as a person, but now I really like him as a person too. It documents the making of his most recent album, and which I think it's Subtract. It's all math related albums.
Your favorite.
Right, exactly. Why I had issues with him at first, if I'm being honest. But he lost one of his best friends to a drug overdose, and it absolutely wrecked him. This was his brother, for all intents and purposes. And it completely wrecked him, completely tanked him. And to watch him go through the journey of creating this album with a lot of the songs based around that experience was really interesting.
That's interesting.
It was at the end of the day, I was like, this was beautiful. This was a beautiful story about just this creative person making art about something that was really real in his life. Like you often think like, oh, what's this album about? Or what's this song about? You get to see the process and you get to see how he builds it out and learn a little bit more about him. So I would strongly recommend it. It's very, I think they're only half-hour episodes and there's 4 of them. It's not that big of a time commitment and it's really good. So The Sum of It All on Disney Plus is my recommendation. Doug, what do you got?
I like like I think I've heard one of the singles off of that album, which is, you know.
Have you checked your vitals?
Yeah, I think that's it tells a really great story, you know.
That's a good one. That's where when there was a lot of drug trafficking happening. And that one specifically was, where did I put the drugs?
Yes.
And it tells the story of,
where did I put those? Have you checked your butthole? Skeet up, beat up, boot up.
It's a hip track.
Yes. I recommend Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Holy shit. I saw that movie opening weekend with Natalie. I have not been that blown away by a movie since The Dark Knight. And it's so fucking good. It's so good. I desperately want to watch it again. And like I was like, I wish it was available to purchase right now. I'd buy it for $30, like instantly.
Wow.
I would buy it. I want to watch.
Right.
I want to own this movie and I want to watch it again. It's fucking phenomenal. The acting's great. The story's fantastic. The animation and the art is beautiful. The music is fantastic. It should win every goddamn award in the world. It's so fucking good. It is truly, you know, people always say, oh, this is the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. This is truly an Empire Strikes Back kind of film. It is a Dark Knight sort of film in a trilogy. It is top notch, amazing. The whole time I was just like, this is so good. This is so good. It's so good. Right. So do yourself a favor. If you can get to the theater, go check it out. It is fucking awesome. Highly recommend it.
Let me ask you a question. Haig also thought it was a very good movie, but he came out angry, and he
was it? Did he say why?
Ahead. Well, and I haven't seen. We can try to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but I don't think this is. I don't think this is no spoiler. Well, let me. Can you guess why?
I have a joke that I'm going to say off air.
I know exactly what the joke is.
I have a joke that I'm going to say off air.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
My other guess is it an Infinity War reaction?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
His whole thing. He opened it up. So Spider-Man the Spider-Verse. How was it? Let me ask you a question. And he gets so angry. Let me ask you a question. Why the fuck do these movies now 2.5 hour movie? He sounds like Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah, right.
2.5 hour movie. Let me ask you a question. 2.5 hour movies. He goes, you can't tell the story in 2.5 fucking hours. You need another 2.5 fucking hour movie to finish your story. Just finish the fucking story. You did nothing for me in this movie. The first one was great because you got a full story, beginning, middle, and end. I knew where it ended. This one, just fucking cliff it, and he just went off, and he was angry. And I was just like, hey, was it good? Well, yeah, it was good. Stop there. Then it was good. Then you enjoyed it.
My response to that is no, Haig. There's obviously a whole other movie that we need to finish this story. And they planned on it. Supposedly the next movie's coming out. Supposedly the next movie's coming out March 2024. So that's now it might get pushed back, but this is like they planned on this. Like this was the whole point. So
and he doesn't think that this was like oh man, we ran out of time. We better oh shit, we're already at 2:20. All right, we better chop it and just make another movie. I don't think he thinks that. But I think he's like, why can't you compress, consolidate, and either give it to me in one movie, or if you're going to do two movies, don't make one of them 2.5 hours long. Like,
this guy is someone who's like, I don't have a lot of time left on this earth. All right. make this worth my time. All right. I don't have the same years that Doug and Justin have. Right.
Unless fucking Bryan Johnson can get his act together and figure something out.
That right there is why I would extend my life. If I was like, oh shit, I only got to see 2/3 of this trilogy and the next one's coming out. Give me 2 more years so I can make sure I can see the end of this.
That's amazing.
That's the only reason why I would do that.
Yes. Amazing.
Go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So good. Another great episode. So much fun. Thank you all for watching. As always, please check us out on all our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. Check out our episodes, our shorts, all our good shit. youtube.com/mindgappodcast. I live stream video game streams typically on Fridays. There will not be one this week as I'm doing a bonus D&D thing on Friday. And then I'm getting ready to go to Nashville for first Mind Gap podcast community get together down in Nashville next week. So there also will not be a podcast next week. So be prepared for that. We're going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus just for a week. You all can handle it. You got this. We may try to post some clips or do some sort of stuff to kind of show you what we were doing and how we were having fun. But yeah, no podcast. So we'll be back. We'll be back for our next episode on of course my fucking calendar pops up June 30th. So
June 30th, right?
Although I may be back to stream on the 24th. Who fucking knows? Follow us on all our shit. And you'll know. Yeah. Join our Discord. Link is in the description down below. Support us. Your support is very much appreciated. You can over to patreon.com/mindgappodcast. Support us there financially. Check out our merch. If you're like, hey man, I don't have the scratch right now, the debt limit, all that sort of stuff. It's crazy. No big deal. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Help us out in that regard. It means the world to us. And also be sure to check out Justin online as well.
On Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. While you're in the online realm, check us out on all the fine, reputable platforms where you can consume podcasts. We'll be there waiting for you, waiting for your ears to give us a little listen. And then when you're there, rate, review, subscribe, share, all those things that we ask every week. Big one is sharing. We really want you to tell your friends we exist. Like Tinkerbell, the more you clap, the brighter we shine. And TwoEastEighth.com. Tuesday on all social media. Love an Improv Film on Instagram and loveanimprovfilm.com.
Cha-cha-cha. You got there, buddy. I'm proud of you.
Thank
Never
you.
forget.
What?
Never forget.
About what?
Never forget. All right, gang. Well, at that, I'll say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
Listeners, thank you too.
You all have a dandy fucking week.